Hello, everybody. You're on the mic. And on today's episode, we are going to continue going through, from Come Geek Some's coverage of it, the interview with Ron Toye and the therapist Ken Jennings, as done by Cressidia Holmes and Mr. Hoppe, aka Cressidia, aka Crumb. Um, Before I get into my commentary on that, though, just want to give a little bit of a heads up here as some news came out the past couple weeks here. I was actually unaware of it because I hadn't been paying as much attention, but I have a bit of a Toonami update that I want to give real quick here before we get into the stuff in regards to Ron and Ken. So back on June the 3rd, it was announced that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Goblin Wind would be temporarily halting broadcast as some dubbing production problems associated with the pandemic. Um, so in lieu of that, the Adult Swim original series Ballmasters 9009 would replacing it starting back on the 6th. So it's already been a couple weeks. I know I had, as I said, I hadn't been paying as much attention to it. Um, but starting last Saturday on the 6th, Ballmasters 9009 took over for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Goblin Wind due to the dubbing production errors. Find the curve. Okay. Okay, so there you go. There's a quick Toonami update. Mm. Okay, so there's a quick Toonami update. Basically, um, the broadcasting of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Goblin Wind will be on hold for a little bit um, to give them more time to dub the episodes. And in the meantime, Ballmasters 9009 will be taking over for the foreseeable future. So, with that being said, let's move on to the main topic, of course, which is my analysis of my continued analysis of Ron and Ken's interview from um, from the Canuckleheads podcast by Crumb and Mr. Hop Crumb, aka Cressidia Holmes. So this is what I took from this most recent segment. Ron did seem to calm down a bit. He did seem to regain his composure. Um, he apparently stopped drinking. I didn't see him taking any drinks, so I guess he was done with whatever his beverage was. Um, so a lot of the conversation went towards the idea of context, with Ron trying to walk back some of the tweets he had tweeted that many of us have already seen, now claiming that he just simply wanted Vic to get help and all that, was saying how proud he was. Seemed to also be trying to win over Ken, Crumb, and Mr. Hop here. He spent much of his time trying to convince them that he was right and how the lawsuit was frivolous. Um, but the two main points of contention was, was with the fact that the two main points of contention was now One was how Monica had accused Vic of trying to assault her, and Ron's conversations with Slaytosh, which totally debunked now what Ron is trying to say was his true intentions. There wasn't a lot of drama in this go around, just that Ron was basically trying to win over the host, trying to win people over to his side, you know. But the fact was is that his and Monica's statement did were the things that were causing the damage. Now, much of the conversation was going towards context and perceptions, which goes back to something I said at the very beginning of all this. One of the things that when all this was starting and all the accusations were coming out, you know, all the accusations were coming out. One of the things I was talking about at the very beginning was that there seems to be this segment of society that seem to want to criminalize and sexualize natural affection. Now, as a lot of people know, Vic comes from an Italian family. He comes from a cultural background where being, giving hugs, even giving kisses on the cheek, even to platonic friends, is normal. There's nothing sexual or anything inappropriate intended. Yet now, because of how society has changed, now all of a sudden we're supposed to that even a one-armed hug is supposed to be implied as something sexual. You know, even as Come Geek Some was saying, what what he believes Ron should do then is he should be telling Minnie and Cake Vic that this is not about convicting Vic of any wrongdoing. This is Vic trying to recoup damages. But yet Ron is placing all the onus on Vic and Nick, and without even really acknowledging his own wrongdoing. The fact is that it was Ron's tweets, as well as Monica, as well as Jamie's, as well as everything that they were accusing Vic of that was causing the damage. That's ultimately what this is that were Ron's tweets, were Monica's tweets, were her, and was her going to Funimation. Is that what caused the damage to both Vic's reputation and to his potential? And a lot of people believe that they do, even though in the initial round, the judge ruled in favor of the defendants. But as we all know, the case is in appeals. We should hear something by this Saturday. This Saturday is when Vic has to have his replies to their responses, as well as his response to Monica and Ron's counter appeals. And Ron kept saying, "Oh yeah, we got all this money to spend." Keep talking about the money aspect of it, which really isn't really the big deal. The big thing is whether or not it caused damage to Vic's reputation, because it hadn't before this year, before the last year and a half here. It never, because these rumors were circulating around, as they had actually circulated around other voice actors and actresses. But yet now it was causing damage because now it was causing Vic, it got him, some of these accusations got him fired from Funimation and Rooster Teeth, and you know, and as well as costing him some convention. Now it's been talked about that maybe had Vic not gotten gotten if he had not been re-invited back to Kamea-Con, that would have actually helped his case more, which it probably would have. But Vic still had to go through quite a bit of rigmarole and had to have a new contract put together, which did cost him extra time and effort to do so. So there's damage there. But anyways, there's not much that I could glean from this other than Ron trying to appeal to Crumb, Mr. Hoppe, and Ken to kind of get them over to his side of thinking. But we won't know much about the appeals case until we see Friday or Saturday here. Saturday is when Vic has, as I said, has to have his replies to their response as well as his response to the counter appeal. So that's all I can really say about this particular segment, even though this one went longer than the other two, 40 minutes. So with that being said, let's move on to some more happier stuff. So, as y'all know, today is June the 15th, 2020. So, let's see what happened on this date in 2020 here. So, first off, or I'm sorry, what happened on this date in each history? First off, on this date in 2005, the second book published by Broccoli Books of Until the Full Moon was published on this date by Kodansha Comics USA. I'm sorry. On this date in 2005, which was 15 years ago, the second book published published by Broccoli Books of Until the Full Moon was published on this date, 2005. Also, on this date in 2012, 8 years ago today, um, the first episode of Gravity Falls debuted as a preview episode, for on Disney Channel. On this date, the first episode, the debut episode of Gravity Falls, debuted as a preview episode on Disney Channel. On this date in 2012, 8 years ago. Then on this date, 5 years ago, from the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, was the episode of Monday Night Raw. The show opened up with a video montage to Dusty Rhodes, who had passed away 4 days prior on the 11th. Also, some key points that came out of this was because this is on the heels of the Elimination Chamber, in which Seth Rollins had retained his title against Dean Ambrose, in which Dean Ambrose came out to the ring to spoil the coronation, and it was announced that the new number one contender too. Later on at the end of the show, the Authority announced that the new number one contender to Dean Ambrose's title was going to be Brock Lesnar. Dean Ambrose, itching for a fight, would defeat Sheamus, and this would play out to in a feud between the Apex Predator, Randy Orton, and Sheamus, as they would cost each other their matches. Basically, as Sheamus tried to escape his match with Dean Ambrose, only to be intercepted by Randy Orton. And then, of course, Randy Orton losing a no holds barred match from Kane with interference from Shane True. Um, the battle of the so called Kings would happen here as King Barrett would lose for a second night in a row to R-Truth. Um, the Kevin Owens John Cena feud would continue on in terms of him beating Dolph Ziggler in an open challenge. So yeah, that's what all that happened on that date in 2015. And then 1 year later, 2016, um, DC would release on the newsstands um, would release on the newsstands the Volume 1 trade paperback of 52 um, on this date in 2016. So that's all that happened on this date in all that happened on this date in niche history. As always, guys, if you want to contact me directly, you can direct message me on my Discord. You can check out the Discord. Um, check out the Discord and check out the Discord and join if you'd like. I'm still, of course, promoting a bunch of different dub companies. A good time to check out a lot of great works out there. Still promoting Vic's GoFundMe. As always, guys, never feel like you have to donate. If it's on your heart to do so and you have the means to, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, you can still help out the causes by sharing the link. Of sharing is caring. Um, the the Indiegogo of Tug and Lug is completed. They finished up last night, so that's over with. As always, guys, if you like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Um, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Um, as always, guys, I always look forward to the conversation with you guys as long as it's civil and respectful. And don't forget, this Friday is the next episode of Voices Big and Small, in which this week I'll be highlighting the career of New York-based voice actress Emily Bauer. I hope to see you all there. And until tomorrow, bye.